Let me tell you about a love that defied every judgment, a love that refused to see the past but chose to build a future. This is a story set in the rugged landscapes of 1850s California, where society had drawn clear lines between the worthy and the unworthy, and one man dared to erase those lines completely. In a dusty frontier town, there lived a woman known simply as Angel. Her beauty had become her curse, trapped in a world where men paid for her company, where her worth was measured in gold coins and fleeting nights. But behind those eyes that had seen too much cruelty lay a girl who once knew happiness, who once had a mother's love shielding her from the world's harshness. Angel's childhood shattered the day her father walked into their modest home. He didn't come with embrace or affection. Instead, he came with cold words that cut deeper than any blade. He told her mother that their relationship meant nothing, that Angel herself was a mistake he never wanted. The little girl standing outside the door heard every syllable, felt every rejection, and something inside her began to break. Her mother held her tight that night, whispering promises of love, but both knew the world had already judged them. When the letter arrived weeks later, it carried the final blow. Her father had sold everything, severed all connections, disappeared like smoke. With nowhere to turn, Angel's mother approached a jeweler, hoping to sell the few precious items she owned. But the jeweler had other plans. He examined the jewelry with a practiced eye and declared it worthless, then looked at her mother with a different kind of appraisal. He offered shelter and work, but the price was her dignity. Desperate and broken, she accepted. Angel watched her mother fade away slowly, working under conditions no human should endure, until illness claimed her entirely. Now orphaned and alone, Angel inherited her mother's fate. She passed from one cruel hand to another, each transaction making her heart a little harder, each night making her believe a little less in goodness. The jeweler sold her to a ruthless man named Duke, who built his empire on stolen innocence. Angel grew up in that world, learning to survive by becoming numb, by convincing herself that all men were predators wearing different masks. Meanwhile, in the quiet countryside, a farmer named Michael lived a simple but purposeful life. He worked his land with calloused hands, prayed with a sincere heart, and dreamed of finding someone to share his world with. He wasn't looking for perfection or beauty alone. He wanted connection, real and lasting. One evening, while selling his harvest in town, he saw her. Angel stepped into the fading sunlight, and something in Michael's chest tightened. It wasn't just her appearance that struck him. It was something deeper, something he couldn't name, but felt with absolute certainty. His friend warned him immediately. Everyone knew about Angel, about where she worked, about what she did. People lined up and paid fortunes just for moments with her. But Michael didn't care about gossip or reputation. He needed to meet her, to know the person behind the rumors. That night, he paid the fee and entered her room. Angel looked at him with practiced indifference, ready to perform her role, but Michael surprised her. He said he didn't want what others came for. He wanted to talk, to know her, to offer her something nobody else had, a way out. Angel laughed bitterly. She had heard sweet promises before, empty words from men who wanted to feel noble for an hour before returning to their normal lives. She told him he was wasting his time and money. But Michael came back the next day, and the day after that, each time paying double, each time speaking with the same earnest conviction. He told her he had fallen in love at first sight, that he wanted to marry her, that he saw a future together. Angel remained unmoved, insisting that she could never belong to anyone, that his simple farm life had nothing to offer someone like her. On his third visit, Michael tried a different approach. He didn't plead or make grand promises. Instead, he asked her a simple question. Didn't she feel trapped? Didn't she want something more than this endless cycle? He leaned forward and kissed her gently, not with demand but with tenderness. He asked if she could feel his love through that kiss. Angel's response was ice cold. She told him she felt nothing, that he was just an ordinary farmer with foolish dreams. Michael left quietly, his heart heavy but not defeated. What Michael didn't know was the depth of Angel's trauma, the layers of pain that had built walls around her heart. Years earlier, after her mother's death, she had been sold and resold like property. A woman named Sally, who worked in the same hellish place, had begged the jeweler to spare Angel from that fate, but he ignored her. When Duke bought Angel, he killed the jeweler in front of her eyes, a brutal demonstration of power that taught her the cost of disobedience. Duke put young Angel to work, and she learned to shut down every emotion just to survive. One night, a client came to her room. An Angel recognized him instantly. It was her father, the man who had abandoned her years ago. In that moment of horrifying recognition, she revealed who she was. The realization destroyed him. Unable to bear the weight of what his actions had caused, he took his own life that very night. Sally, the only person who had shown Angel kindness, helped her escape, giving her money and directions to the port. But Duke discovered the betrayal and killed Sally without hesitation. Angel boarded a ship, hoping to find freedom in another city, but the girls she befriended during the journey turned on her upon arrival. They robbed her and left her unconscious in an alley. A woman named Duchess found Angel and brought her to a grand house, offering food and shelter. Angel thought perhaps her luck had finally changed, but Duchess simply became another captor, putting Angel back to work in the same trade, only in a different city with a different name. Years passed, and Angel accepted this as her permanent reality, until Michael appeared and refused to let her go. Back in the present, something inside Angel began to shift. Michael's persistent kindness had planted a seed of hope she thought long dead. She decided to leave, to claim her freedom using the money she had secretly saved over the years. But when she approached Duchess and demanded her earnings, the woman refused with contempt. Angel insisted, and Duchess responded with violence, ordering her bodyguard to beat Angel severely as punishment for her defiance. That same night, Michael woke from a disturbing dream. Sensing that Angel was in danger, he rushed to Duchess's establishment at dawn and found Angel bruised and barely conscious. Rage filled him, but he controlled it long enough to negotiate. Duchess named an impossible price for Angel's debt, and without hesitation, Michael paid triple the amount. He knelt before Angel, holding his mother's ring, and asked her to marry him. Through her pain and exhaustion, Angel whispered yes. Michael brought Angel home to his farm, where she could finally rest and heal. She looked at the simple wooden walls, the open fields, the quiet sky, and felt something she hadn't felt in years: safety. But old habits died hard. She tried to return the ring, insisting she would repay him and leave once she recovered, that she wouldn't become anyone's prisoner through marriage. Michael smiled gently and explained that marriage wasn't imprisonment. It was partnership. He gave her clothes that had belonged to his late sister, cared for her injuries, and asked for nothing in return. Over the following weeks, Michael nursed Angel back to health. One night, she offered to repay her debt the only way she knew how, through physical intimacy. But Michael refused. He told her he hadn't saved her to claim her body. He wanted her heart, freely given, not out of obligation. He would wait until she felt the same depth of love he carried for her. This patience confused Angel. She had never met a man who wanted her without taking, who saw value beyond her physical form. As Angel's strength returned, she began helping Michael with farm work. He taught her to collect eggs, care for livestock, fish in the nearby stream. These simple tasks brought unexpected joy. She had spent so long being used that she had forgotten what it felt like to create, to build, to contribute to something wholesome. One pre-dawn morning, Michael woke her and led her to a hilltop. Together they watched the sunrise paint the sky in brilliant colors. He told her he wanted to give her a life as beautiful and full of promise as that sunrise. Angel confessed that if he truly knew her past, he would despise her. Michael replied that she hadn't chosen that life, but now she had the power to choose her future. Moved by his words and the warmth in his eyes, Angel kissed him. That night, they consummated their relationship, not as transaction, but as genuine connection. For the first time, Angel understood what intimacy could mean when wrapped in love and respect. The next day, Michael's brother-in-law Paul returned from his travels. Michael excitedly introduced his new wife, but Paul recognized Angel immediately. Later, when Michael wasn't present, Paul confronted her harshly, questioning how someone with her history could deserve Michael's goodness. Angel calmly responded that Michael had chosen her with full knowledge of who she was, and Paul should respect that choice. Still unconvinced, Paul went to Michael and spoke against Angel. Michael's response was swift and physical, a single punch followed by a clear warning. If Paul considered him family, then he must treat Angel with the same respect. Paul apologized and eventually suggested that Angel could start a business in the city if she wanted independence. Despite their growing happiness, a shadow loomed over Angel's heart. Michael spoke dreamily about having children, about building a family together. But Angel carried a secret she hadn't shared. Years earlier, Duke had forced her to undergo a procedure that left her unable to bear children. The thought of disappointing Michael, of failing to give him the family he deserved, filled her with quiet despair. Around this time, a traveling family with a pregnant woman named Elizabeth and their young daughter Miriam stopped at the farm, seeking shelter. Michael and Angel welcomed them warmly, offering food and a place to rest. Miriam and Angel formed a quick friendship, and when Elizabeth gave birth to a healthy baby boy, the household filled with celebration. Watching Michael's gentle interactions with the newborn and seeing his natural ease with Miriam, Angel began to think that perhaps Michael would be better off with someone like Miriam, someone whole and capable of giving him everything he wanted. When Miriam's family announced they had bought nearby land and would be staying permanently, Angel's thoughts darkened further. One afternoon, while working alongside Michael, she casually mentioned how well-suited he and Miriam seemed. Michael stopped his work and looked at her seriously. He told her plainly that his love belonged to her alone, that no one could come between them. Gathering her courage, Angel finally revealed the truth about her infertility, about what Duke had stolen from her. She expected Michael to pull away, to realize she was damaged beyond repair. Instead, he held her close and said that nothing from her past could change his love, that hope should never be abandoned, because life had a way of surprising us when we least expected it. Despite his reassurances, Angel couldn't shake the feeling that she was holding Michael back from the life he truly deserved. One evening, she asked him to take her to the hilltop where they had watched the sunrise. They went together and watched the sun set instead, sharing a tender moment under the fading light. The next morning, before dawn broke, Angel wrote a heartfelt letter to Miriam. In it, she suggested that Miriam and Michael would make a beautiful couple, that they could build the family Michael longed for. She placed Michael's mother's ring inside the envelope, gathered her few belongings, and left the farm quietly while everyone still slept. When Miriam discovered the letter, she immediately showed it to Michael, urging him to chase after Angel and bring her back. But Michael sat down heavily and said that he had given Angel everything he could, his love, his acceptance, his vision of a shared future. The decision to return had to be hers alone. He couldn't force someone to stay who didn't believe she belonged. Angel arrived in the city and found work at a small hotel, offering her services as a cook in exchange for room and board. The owner agreed, grateful for the help, but fate had other plans. That very day, one of Duke's men spotted her. That night, the hotel erupted in flames, burning everything to ash. The next morning, Angel sifted through the charred remains, trying to salvage anything useful when a familiar voice called her name. She looked up to see Duke standing before her, very much alive and as menacing as ever. Duke informed her coldly that he had orchestrated the fire as a warning. He gave her a choice: come back and work for him, or he would kill the hotel owner who had shown her kindness. Trapped once again, Angel agreed, but when she arrived at Duke's establishment, she witnessed something that reignited her long-buried fury. Two young girls, barely teenagers, were being prepared for the same fate Angel had endured. Confronting Duke, she accused him of preying on children because he could no longer control grown women. Duke's response was a threat: obey or die. But something had changed in Angel. Michael's love had awakened something she thought lost forever: her voice, her courage, her refusal to accept evil quietly. That night, for the first time in her life, Angel prayed. She asked for strength not to save herself, but to save those innocent girls and expose Duke's crimes. When Duke dragged her onto a stage to display her to potential clients, Angel didn't play along. Instead, she spoke loudly and clearly, telling everyone present about Duke's cruelty, about how he tortured young girls, about her own story of abuse and survival. Duke tried to silence her, dragging her off stage and into a back room with murderous intent. But one of his own men, tired of serving such evil, turned against him. He struck Duke down and told Angel to run. She didn't waste a second. She raced to the room where the two girls were locked, freed them, and escaped into the night. The crowd, having heard Angel's testimony and witnessed Duke's violence firsthand, turned into an angry mob. They hunted Duke down as he tried to flee, captured him, and delivered their own brutal justice. He was hanged that night. His reign of terror finally ended. 3 years passed. Paul, now living in a distant city, spotted a familiar figure walking down a busy street. He followed Angel to a large building and discovered she had founded a school for young women escaping situations like hers. The school offered education, job training, and genuine hope for a better future. Paul was moved to tears seeing what she had built. He asked about Michael and Miriam. Angel listened carefully as Paul explained that he had married Miriam, that they were expecting their first child, and that Michael had never moved on. He still waited, still hoped that Angel would return. Paul pleaded with her to come back, mentioning he would be departing at 4 o'clock and she was welcome to join him. Back at the farm, Michael worked his fields as he had every day since Angel left. He looked up from his labor and saw a figure approaching slowly. His heart recognized her before his eyes confirmed it. Angel stopped a few feet away and spoke softly. She told him her real name for the first time, Sarah. A name she had hidden from everyone because it belonged to the girl she used to be before the world broke her. She confessed her love for him, apologized for the pain she had caused, and thanked him for enduring so much because of her. Michael's response was simple and profound. He said that every hardship had led them to this perfect moment, standing together with nothing left between them but truth and love. He retrieved his mother's ring from where he had kept it safe all these years and slipped it onto her finger. He smiled and said, "Welcome home." Time moved forward. Months turned into years. One peaceful afternoon, Michael fished by the lake when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Sarah, visibly pregnant, walking slowly toward him. Beside her ran a little boy with wild hair and bright eyes, their son. Michael had been right. Hope should never be abandoned. Life had its own way of healing what seemed permanently broken. The family stood together by the water's edge, whole and happy, living proof that love could rewrite even the cruelest stories into something beautiful.